these randoms keep getting jobs? Don't worry about it. I'm going to say, I can't wait to say it. I love it. I love it. Go.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the NotBland Show, and I'm your host, Dujane Bland. We got a great show for you today. We had a great show yesterday. If you guys are NFL individuals who have teams that you like, we kind of broke a lot of stuff down on last night's show before the Monday Night Football game, so go check that out as well. Again, you guys know the drill. Like, subscribe, and share. Tell a friend to tell a friend. You know how we come in here. This is a sports journey production along with everything Nitro, and we are powered by our friends at Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. And there's some big news for them this week. Larice, Motorsports Insurance. You got a car? You got a trailer? Is it going to be on a lift? Is it going to be in your garage? Is it going to be traveling down the road? Are you going to be racing it on the track? Well, they cover it all. It doesn't matter whether they're going to put it on a lift. They'll cover it. If it's going to be at the racetrack or even at your house, they're covering it. They are the primary sponsor of this weekend's first playoff race at Maple Grove Raceway, the Pep Boys Nationals. I'm looking forward to it, and it's going to be a blast. We're going to get into it right after we have a word from our sponsor.
Drag racing fans, check out Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. It's the free, family-friendly fantasy bracket game. Now, after final qualifying at every national event, you can fill out your bracket for all the pro classes.
It's free, easy to click on your picks. If you need some help, just hit the randomizer button to fill in the blanks. It's for fun, stay engaged, and pick your winners today.
And as you will see, there is a code down at the bottom there. You can come in and join this league. It's not too late. It's not too late to even join here. I'll even go ahead and share the screen real quick to show you that if you want to know more about them, you want to get a quote from them, guess what? Right there on the Drag Race Bracket Bonanza site, you have the ability to click right there at the click here box, and it will take you right there. So if you're a racer that wants to have insurance for your car, your tools, your trailer, they got you. They got you. So check them out right there on the Drag Race Bracket Bonanza site where you'll sign up and join this league. And then without further ado, he is the founder and the owner of Drag Race Reference. Y'all know who he is, the stat man, Dave W. What's going on, brother?
Hey, good to see everybody. Nice to see you tonight, and looking forward to the show and breaking down this championship battles that we're going to have coming up here the next couple of weeks. The next 6 races are going to be hot.
Yeah, man, this is going to be a incredible playoffs, despite the participation packet that has been divvied out. And I'm going to start there because I want to tackle this right from the front. There's a couple people, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that saw Paul Lee's post about them not running the rest of the races because of where they are. As I don't agree with, I don't know how you fix the reset. Okay. They have to shuffle these guys above everybody else who's not involved. And it does make Paul Lee kind of look bad, like he finished in 14th. But I think if sponsors understood what is happening there, it's very clear that in the regular season, he finished 11th, just outside of 10th. They knew what they had to do to get in the show and to be able to be a part of the countdown, and it just didn't happen. But if you want to be a part of the participation packet, I'm going to throw some numbers here at you that will clarify that none of it matters and it just needs to be abolished, because nothing will ever happen. Those individuals aren't even a factor. And here's why. Let's look at Top Fuel. Josh Hart, Dave, is 8-13 on the year. In his last 4 races, he is 4-4. Sean Reed, 2-14, 8 consecutive first round losses for a combined 10-27, 11th and 12th. Guess what? You know what that says? Not very good. And that's going to continue. Because why? Women lie, men lie, numbers don't.
That is a fact. No, I mean, it is a fact.
Let's look at Funny Car. Funny Car, where the complaints lie. Your 11th, 12th, and 13th place individuals. Let's start with Alexis DeJoria there. And I'll start with Alexis because I believe Alexis just so happened to make the cut at 10. But guess what? She's 9-13 on the year. 1-4 in her last 4, and 3. That's 3 consecutive first round exits. Chad Green, 8-14 on the year, 3-4 in his last 4 races. And Daniel Wilkerson, he's 2-4 in his last 4. I ain't even going to talk about the record. Don't matter. Guess what? Guess what that says in your last 4 races when you got that kind of round win-loss record? Not very good. Not very good.
No, not specifically. I think the thing that really didn't make much sense to me, I can understand if Paul Lee and the team, they want to save money. According to them, the post, as it reads, was after the NHRA reset and Funny Car points, we go from 11th to 14th with no chance of finishing higher. So there is no use wasting parts and money this year. So we'll sit out until the last couple of races for this year. Oh, and best of luck to this year's Funny Car Participation Award winners. I think that's the biggest rub. If you want to say you want to save money, you don't want to go to all the races, you're just going to go to Vegas and Pomona because you didn't make the top 10 because you're not going to advance any higher, that's fine. But I don't think that you really need to put out a dig and say congratulations to the Participation Award winners, because no offense at all to Cruz Pedregon, Buddy Hull, Dave Richards, who, I mean, obviously made all the events and came and are in this championship. I don't think that they're going to finish much higher than 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th in points regardless. They're
actually, I screwed y'all. That's not true. I misread my notes there. So you're 11th. You just said you're 11th, 12th, and 13th place individuals who are the participation packet winners.
Right.
Their combined record is 6-37.
Right.
Cruz Pedregon is 4-14 on the year, 2-4 in his last 4. Buddy Hull 1-12, 1-3 in his last 4. And yeah, they DNQ'd. Dave Richards 1-11, 8 consecutive first round losses and 1 DNQ. What does that say, ladies and gentlemen? Repeat it. Not very good. Women lie, men lie, numbers don't.
And the sad part is, I don't understand the dig at those teams and say, oh, well, congratulations to the participation award teams. If you win one round, Paul Lee missed the countdown by 19 points. All right. If he just shows up to Epping, well, he's going to be in regardless because of the quote unquote participation award part of it. But if he shows up, he gets 10 points for showing up. He's going to be a first round loser, gets 20 points there, 1 point for at least qualifying at the back half of the field, just makes one pass down the track, gets his 31 points. You know what? He's in the show. he's in it over Alexis. He points his way in, or he's in it on the participation side of things. So at any point throughout the entire season, 1 round win was all that he missed it by.
Right.
And I would love to know what the narrative is if he did make it. And I don't know what the narrative is to say, well, we finished 11th, but if the countdown was just the top 10, you have no chance of being higher than 11th anyway.
Right.
And unless NHRA has changed something, which they don't really release what their payouts are anymore, if you finished 10th, 9th, 8th in points, your championship bonus, at least in the Powerade era, if it is continued over to the Mission Foods era, was like 15 grand. So you're complaining about spending 100 grand a race, sitting out 4 of them to only spend 200 to go to the last 2, to potentially make 12 grand. The math don't add up. It just sounds like sour grapes. And unless one of those teams made some smart aleck remark to him, like, you know, I mean, obviously he lost first round in Indy on a hole shot, which hurt. That 1 round win was all he needed, unless they got out of the top end, you know, and smarted off to him and said, yeah, you should cut a better light. You know, that's why we're part of it and you're not, or something. I don't understand the hatred for the team. I think it looks bad for you as a team, as a driver, to blast and flame the sport that you participate in as a PR standpoint, or to say, we're going to sit out. It sounds like a defeatist attitude and mentality, instead of saying, hey, you know what, we just missed it, but we're going to go out there and we're going to hurt some feelings in these last 6. We're going to show up. We're going to work on our program. We're going to be a top half qualifier, and we're going to put out some guys who are in the championship hunt. That would be the best way to go about it, in my opinion.
Exactly. And to me, it's a business decision. You know, guys make business decisions all the time. You see it in football, you see it in basketball. Business decisions get made, and that's a business decision, and you should just call it what it is. I don't have a problem with that. I understand it. I get it. Right. I get the money aspect of it, but you already knew what the countdown was. You already knew what this was about, so it is what it is. None of us like it. It's a dumb rule. It needs to be abolished. And with this particular comment here, I'm going to tell you, Drag Race Mayhem, I do not care. Because, again, I read you the statistics of 11th, 12th, and 13th. So we going to celebrate, sponsors going to celebrate losers? Because that's exactly what they are. Because they're not doing nothing in this countdown. Not one thing at all, but continue to flip and flop and flounder around like a fish out of water. So I don't want to hear it. It's embarrassing. It is embarrassing, and it waters down what would have been an electrifying finish of someone trying to make the top 10 in Indy. Just saying. And I'm not apologizing for nothing that I just said. Go look at the stats. Don't want to be called it, do better. It is what it is.
You got to have a cutoff for a reason. I mean, why don't we just give trophies to everybody? Why don't we just call them all champions? They're not all co-champions. There's got to be a cutoff point, and the cutoff is what the cutoff. So, I mean, it is what it is. And other than Robert Hike, who came in 2009 and actually came from 10th to 1st to win the championship, Tim Wilkerson back in 2018 came from 10th to 5th. Nobody else has even really improved from 10th higher than 8th, 9th, 10th, you know, finished last. I mean, and no offense to any guys at the bottom half of the field, but you're not Robert Hite and you're not John Force Racing. You're not going to come through there. Matt Hagan came, you know, he won a championship all the way back from 7th. You're not Matt Hagan. You're not Don Schumacher Racing. These guys are not going to come out here and be championship contenders.
Right.
So the outcome of their season is not going to change. You're going to go out there. You're going to try and run good. You're going to try and win some rounds, win some races, get some data, build that logbook, and come back in 2025 with both guns blazing. That's all you got.
That's all you got. And you can be spoiler and smile when you kick out people that are in the countdown along the way. Right. And if you choose not to do that, that's fine. You know, I don't have a problem with it. Business decision. I get that too. And I'm going to address that. Since you brought it up, I'm going to address that. I I do not find it anything special or it even looking good. Sure, it is what it is, right? Like, you get a pass because you made everything. But again, look at your numbers. I mean, are you really putting out a press release when you just DNQ'd? Are you really putting out a press release about being in the countdown when you have gone out 8 consecutive times in the season in the first round? Are we really talking about countdown? It's kind of blasphemy to think that anything that you've done up to this point is going to just magically change, because guess what? It's countdown time. And I'm going to tell you, it's bull, because no one backs into the playoffs and just goes over to that little switch, click, and all of a sudden everything's right with the world. Nah, it don't happen in baseball. It don't happen in basketball. It don't happen in football. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? The crap don't happen here in the quarter mile.
No.
AKA 1,000 foot.
In the 16-year history of the countdown, there's only been a few times, a select few, like less than a handful, that lightning has struck in any of the categories for anybody to turn their season around. And the drivers that did were with multi-car mega teams with the big sponsorship bucks, thick notebooks, and a huge brain trust that got them back to the front. You ain't going to have single car teams coming out of nowhere and just running over the field. It's just
and
like
only one man won a championship. Only one man won a championship out of that.
Right. Just Robert Height. That's it.
Yeah. And that's why. That's like saying Michael Jordan. It's like, it's Robert Height, for Christ's sake.
Right. It's JFR, Shop Force Racing. I mean, they
You know?
put together a year and they won the championship from the back.
Yep.
But, it is what it is. And enough of the back half of the field, guys. Let's talk about who's really in this championship fight. Let's talk about who's really going to be making a big statement these next 6 races.
I think it's going to be a really good one. I'm not going to start in Top Fuel. We're going to start in Pro Stock Motorcycle.
All right.
I find this to be a very interesting set of things that we're going to be seeing here with these riders here. I went through all of the top 10 people here, and really, I can honestly say it's a 4-man race with 2 honorable mentions.
All right.
We obviously know I say 5 because I did not include Gage because it's obvious. Gage, number 1.
He's number 1.
Out of Matt Smith is 18-8 and 11-3 in his last 4 with 1 win. You've got Richard Gadsden involved in this. 14-9. He's 5-4 in his last 4. He doesn't have any runner-ups or wins to speak of, but doing quite well on the season. John Hall, surprisingly, 13-9, 6-4 in his last 4, and he's got 1 runner-up. He was in a final. And Chase Van Sant, my guy to be the long shot, to just start plucking folks off, possibly to work his way up to a championship. 13-8 on the year, 7-3 in his last 4, and he's got 1 win. So he's pretty close to Matt Smith.
Yep.
My honorables, Angie Smith and Gianna Evaristo. Angie 10-9, 4-4. They're both 500 in their last 4. No wins, no really being in the finals. They're just chipping away at it, but their bikes have shown that they can be a factor in this. Everybody else, I don't care if they're in the top 10. Hector, Steve Johnson, Chris Bostic. Not very good. Not even considered. They might as well not even be in the top 10. It should be like a top 8.
Well, and it's just a shame, too, for the motorcycle class because they've had some really, really dwindling bike counts the last couple of events. and I hope that it really strengthens going into these next 6. You know, I really hope that they come out, you know, the riders come out and in a show of support for the category. But I can also understand, just like Paul Lee with his saving money and saving parts in the funny car category, it's hard to come out there and know that you're going to run to be a bottom half qualifier and a first round loser, unless somebody goes out there and red lights or crosses the center line or something stupid out of the thing, because you're not going to come out here now and make up all these points and you know, the way that the countdown's laid out, obviously we had the 20-point bonus for whoever's number 1 over second, and then it just goes on down from there in 10-point increments all the way to 10. So really, in all honesty, the guys that you're talking about, the Hector Jr., Steve Johnson, Chris Bostic, those guys are almost pretty much starting at or more than a race behind NHRA, Matt Smith already. So your countdown is really technically only a 5-race countdown unless you start performing. And you ain't going to start performing right. You know, Gage Herrera wins 2 or 3 of the first 3 races in a row here right now. It's signed, sealed, delivered for most of the rest of the field, you know? Because the way that the point spread, the Mission Foods Challenge, the bonus points that they put on there, I mean, I agree with you. It's going to be a Matt Smith Racing and a Vance and Hines battle to the finish. And maybe those other guys get lucky. They hit a good setup, cut a good light, or catch a break, and somebody goes red when they shouldn't have, and they go around. But, I mean, I think you named off the contenders perfect.
And just so you guys know, I ain't just throwing shade at these guys. Hector, he's the best one out of the 3, 8 and 9, 1 race win below 5, round win below 500, 3 and 4 in his last 4. The other 2, Steve Johnson, 8 consecutive first round losses. I don't care about his record. That's enough. You already know how many races they run. 8 consecutive first round losses. You know how many round wins he's got. And Chris Bostic, he's got 9 consecutive first round losses. So you already know how many round wins he got because you know how many races they race.
Right.
No chance. Okay. You're not going to go over there and turn the switch on and it going to light up and you just all of a sudden going to be running up to the top. Doesn't work that way. Lonnie has a good one. Do y'all like Chris Bostic's parachute on his bike? I did. What about you, Dave?
I'm all for anything safety related. I mean, he didn't pull it right at the finish line. He got it, you know, a couple hundred feet in the shutdown area, got some speed scrubbed off of it, and then put it out there to get him going. You know, the rest of the way it slowed down. But I guarantee you when Angie Smith was headed for the sand trap at Indy, she was wishing she would have had a parachute or something to help her slow down too. I don't think anything that's good in the name of safety, as long as it's not like, you know, the only curiosity or question mark is A, you don't want too big of a parachute to yank the bike out from under you, which Nitro Harley guys, obviously they run parachutes, they're running a lot faster, but if I'm not mistaken, I think those bikes have a little bit more weight to them than the pro stock bikes do. So it'd be a little less difficult to yank that out from underneath you. And number 2, sometimes they get a little bit close to each other at the top end because of some wind gusts and whatnot here and there. I would be curious to see what that parachute does when you're racing at, say, Las Vegas with a really stiff crosswind, or you get 2 bikes that are close to each other, and I don't want them parachutes to get tangled up with each other or get somebody tangled up in their parachute line, because that could be some pretty disastrous results real quick.
Yeah, I had some conversations with a few people about the parachute. He kind of tested it a while back, and it just didn't get approved. And I guess NHRA finally approved it. And that's what you said, Dave, is exactly what they said. It's not so much in favorable conditions that the concern is. It's the crosswinds that where the parachute doesn't or could be more of a problem than a help.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know whether he plans to try to use it in those conditions from here on out or not. I would be interested to see what the numbers are with him no parachute versus him having a parachute. How much speed was able to be scrubbed off? How much less brake he had to use in that? I'm sure it is help when the conditions are favorable. That's when I would want to see it. I don't know I don't know if he would use it in that particular instance with crosswind, because I would think that everybody knows that that's a potential for disaster with a chute on a bike. So it'll be interesting to see. I would love to talk to him about that and whether he would test it in those conditions like that. But I'm all for it, safety, and I'm all for it. I thought that it would be something that could be possible. I'm sure there's always continuous work that needs to be done on something like this. It's never tried and true because this is the first time it's ever been seen and done. So, especially on a bike of that magnitude. So,
there's a lot of pros and cons. Like you say, maybe it's just there as a fail-safe, and in the bad weather, you don't use it, but when you know you need it, at least it's there. Right. And then there's also the added weight on the back of the motorcycle from it too, because anything that you put on the bike versus taking off of it, you're adding weight to it in maybe not favorable places. So there's a lot of technical things in there, but in the name of safety, if it helps them slow down and it makes it feel safer out there, well, these bikes are going very, very fast, and consistently faster than they ever have. And I'm very thankful that this year has not been a repeat of some of the riders that we saw go down last year, getting towards the end with Angie, with Kelly, with John Hall in the wall. I mean, we had some pretty scary stuff going on last year. I'm glad that they've been safe overall as a class. But
yeah, me too.
Always applaud safety.
Yeah. So they had Gage Herrera. We had a presser today at 3, and they had Gage on, and Gage brought up, the banter that has been created by one said guy who calls himself said journalist, with his back and forth about Vance and Hines and, the scuttlebutt that's been going on about it. He's kept his mouth shut pretty much about it, but it does irk him a little bit, and it's a little bit a level of a motivation, he said, to uphold the name of guys like Andrew Hines, Matt Hines, this Vance and Hines team, Eddie Krawick. He wants to do that. This is the only track here at Maple Grove that he has not won at, and he said this is the one that he wants, and he's very focused on getting that done. They're looking to mow down the field despite these changes here. I sensed a quiet confidence and a level of we're going to put foot in folks behind this weekend and show that we ain't sandbagging, we're not laying up, but we're going to go up and get this championship.
For sure. And I pose it to you, we'll talk about it. And really, you can come back in 3 weeks and revisit this, because I love personally that we get 3 races in a row to start the countdown, because you're really going to have a good countdown picture after St. Louis going into the last 3. So this is really cool. But pre-countdown, nobody's hit the track yet. We've covered the contenders. I don't know where you stand on the motorcycles, but as far as I see it, I think Gage Herrera is going to be a back-to-back Mission Foods Pro Stock Motorcycle World Champion. That's my bold prediction.
I do too. I think Matt's still going to be a close second. I'll say this. I'm not sure that it will be close in Pomona. These three races are going to tell the tale, though. We're going to see how close Matt Smith really is to Gage, and if he can continue that. That's been his Achilles heel, is maintaining the consistency, and it's showing up on race day. We've seen him do everything under the sun in qualifying in the Mission Foods Challenge, but it just hasn't showed up consistently on race day. And sure, he's got a win to his belt that helps him here in his last 4 with the level of confidence coming in. They've had some success. He's only have 3 round losses here in 11 of those he's won. So, but at the end of the day, I just think you poke the bear and you keep poking the bear. And I'm not blaming Matt Smith. I don't. I don't think this is not anything where he's using this person to have this stuff thrown around. But I just think too much. You keep poking the bear, and then the bear's gonna swipe you and claw you. So I'm not sure that there's much hope here for the rest of the field. I think they're gonna really show something in these first 3 races. They're gonna make a point.
Yeah, that's very possible. I think that their best chance is he just has to match pace with Gage round for round, at least through Dallas, to even have a shot.
Yep.
If he can get 1 or 2 ahead of him, maybe win, maybe they both go out in the semis, maybe he's a runner-up and Gage is a semifinalist, maybe they meet each other in the finals. But you're going in a round behind. Your best chance is to match him round for round and try and get as many qualifying points in your favor as you can. Get those session points. Get those 1, 2, 3 here and there, because that can add up big, and you got a chance when we go to 1.5 points in Pomona, because that's going to be the big equalizer.
Yep.
You know, and we're just talking to have a chance. I mean, he can go into Pomona 60 points back, and that's still true. I mean, but he's got a chance.
Yeah.
He's got a chance. And that's all you can hope for.
Yes, it is a 6-race playoff, Lonnie. They are included in all that. Everybody's going 6. So I'm excited about that. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out with them. And you know, I'm really interested. My focus too is on guys like Chase Van Sant, guys like Richard Gatson, who I believe is just started to really kind of get his footing and the level of consistency that he needs to have. And I think they're finding a tune-up. And, you know, can't count out John Hall, who's really been good and had a really solid bike here towards the latter half of this season, has been in a final. And I hope that it's something that we can, you know, talk about in Pomona. But I don't know. I think we might be wishful thinking just a little bit. Well, Pro Stock is another class where we've had repeat after repeat. I believe on the presser, there's been 35 whole shot wins in Pro Stock alone. So it's not always been the fast car that's been winning these rounds. You know, I look at the bottom half of this thing. Oh, and let's get to this real quick. It says depends on the rules. Like, look what the rules look like if we see any rule changes. I don't think we'll see any rule changes, but I've said that before, and they made rule changes when I felt like that needed to happen at the end of the year. But whatever. You never know with the NHRA. Pro Stock, the 11th, 12th, and 13th guys, I believe we discussed this possibly. Derek Kramer, 4-12 on the year. He's got 3 consecutive first-round losses in his last 4, and he's got a DNQ. Matt Hartford, 2-12, and we talking about playoffs. 3 consecutive first-round losses. He's 1-4 in his last 4. Chris McGahey has had a rough year. 3-11 on the year. 2-3 in his last 4 with 1 DNQ. And we talking about playoffs. A combined, ladies and gentlemen, 9-35. Not very good. That's the theme, ladies and gentlemen. Not very good. But we're writing press releases about being in the countdown. Okay.
Well, but you know, the thing with those guys they are all associated and affiliated with top-level teams, top-level programs. I mean, the McGaheys have been working on it. They're getting back. I mean, what a season turnaround, though, for Derek Kramer and Matt Hartford. From where we were talking about them last year to this year, to being, outside the top 10 and in the participation side of the championship is just beyond astounding. No Mission Foods bonus points to go with it. Never been in a Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge all year, which means, quite simply, they've never been to a semifinal at any of the events this year. So, I mean, that's very telling to me, right?
Yeah.
For these guys compared to the wins that they were putting together last year and the spoiler. And I mean, 365 days ago, Matt Hartford comes out there and stuns everybody, wins the first race of the countdown. Can lightning strike twice? I don't know, but if it does, it sure is going to open some eyes. Can he come from 12th to win the championship? And that's a little far-fetched. Nobody in the 16-year countdown history in the pro stock category has ever come back from worse than 5th. Oh, and the person that did it, Erica Enders. And the only one after that, Greg Anderson from 4th to 1st.
Not surprised.
Jake Hoffman won 3 of his championships from 3rd to 1st, as did Mike Edwards and Erica Enders. Jason Line and Erica Enders came from 2nd. And then you got the other 7 that have all been basically whoever came in stayed as the champ. So I think your race in pro stock, and I mean, records are made to be broken. That's why we run these things every year. But your top 5 is your championship contenders right there. And everybody else is out there to play spoiler.
Yeah. But when I look at where Christian Quadra is and the performance that they have had as of late, he's a long shot. But those cars are running quite well right now. But the question is not so much, well, I can't say that. I can't say it's it's about being about the tree, really, because we've seen fast cars lose 35 times on hole shots.
Right.
So
I mean, we're talking about cars that we're running identical numbers, and you're winning. They are so close in the field that they are matching ETs at almost speeds, and you are literally winning it by who leaves first, because there is no edge either way down the rest of the track as soon as the light comes on. So, I mean, it for as much of it being an anybody can win category and the way things have been going as of late, and the fields have been tightening. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you go back, we're looking at fields that are separated by less than 1/10 of a second to fields that are getting closer to like 6/10, 4/10 of a second from first to last. And I mean, that's wild. And I hope it continues going into the countdown, because it really is that anybody can win it. But how about the recent run that Aaron Stanfield has been on? He has almost gotten to the point where he has taken the regular season points lead away from Dallas Glenn, who last year is your regular season and full season, if there's no countdown, pro stock champion. So he's got a chip on his shoulder coming in. Aaron Stanfield is the rising star, and Greg and Erica, and now throw in Jeg, who's another elder statesman of the class, all got their hands up going, don't forget about us. And for me, that's your top 5. That's your top 5 battle, and they can very well be all 5 of them still with a shot going into Pomona.
Yeah, I agree with you. Aaron Stanfield is the hottest one in that group. It's pretty impressive for him to see what he's done in this particular countdown. I mean, not the countdown, but the regular season. The run that he's had has been very impressive. Especially with the cars that are over there. I mean, there are no layups over there, and I think he's the guy right now that is the front runner. But like you said, those 5 cars, it's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out. And I hope that it's separated by, just a few points going into Pomona, and everything from qualifying to the end of the race matters.
Well, and that's the other thing now is, I mean, 1st through 5th, 55-point spread. I mean, right now, Q1, Friday afternoon, Reading, Pennsylvania, you better have your A game out there, and you better be going for those session points, because every point matters from here on out. And we're talking, how difficult it is to drive these pro stock cars. You're off by a couple hundred RPM, and you miss it by 1,000. how many times do they say on the PA, you know what, if you picked up 2,000, that's 8 spots. The way that you not only get the points, but the way the ladders fall. The last thing you want to do, what if the ladders could very easily fall? You could be separated by 200 and have a Dallas Glenn, Aaron Stanfield first-round matchup.
Yeah.
I mean, the championship, I mean, the fact that you got 13 cars going into the championship, you're already going to have first-round countdown matchups. I mean, no matter what, you got
no
that
matter
many
what
cars in the field. You're going to hurt some feelings big time. And the first 3 races are going to tell the big story. I think, you know, like we keep saying over and over, when we get out of St. Louis, we're going to have a clearer picture, but maybe not, because we might leave St. Louis with the pro stock field just as close to points as it's starting. You never know how that's going to play out.
Exactly. I want to talk about the six-pack champ. Quietly on the year, 22-13. You wouldn't think it just because she hasn't won a lot this year. She's 5-4 in her last 4 races here. The names that she's had to go through, though, her own teammate, Christian Quadra, who they've been coming on as of late as far as the performance. You had Troy, her own teammate, Aaron Stanfield, another loss, Dallas Glenn, another loss there, Jeg, another loss. And still had to run through David, and she's had some layups in the first round, as should be when you're first or second in qualifying. In the last 4, the furthest she's been down is 5th. I do believe that I can say that the champ looks to be vulnerable, but we've seen this story before with her. Not doing very good, kind of, you know, fumbling around a little bit and hanging around, and then all of a sudden, lightning in a bottle, and they go out and she's starting to do what she normally does when it comes down to the championship. I don't think it's going to be as easy for her this time, because I think, like you said, there's 4 other guys ahead that are doing just about the same thing that she's doing, and in some cases better. They're coming in with a lot more momentum than she is. So it's going to be something to watch.
Yeah, but let's don't forget, she has won 4 out of the last 5 championships.
Yeah.
She went up countdown to 2020. 4 out of the last 5, Eric Anders. Greg Anderson snuck that one in there in 2021 and kind of surprised her there. But, I mean, I agree. It's hard to bet against her. But really, I mean, if you're a fan of the class now, to have Greg Anderson and Jeg Coughlin in another championship battle, I mean, these names go back to – those guys were battling it out the first year of the countdown. And, by the way, a couple of them got some championships stolen away from them. And I don't think that Greg forgot about those yet, way back in 07 and 08 when that all happened. And Jeg had a pretty good run of it, and Greg came back and got a couple of them too. So to have those guys battling it with, you know, throw Erica in the mix, she's been in it for a long time. And then you got the new guys, Dallas Glenn, Aaron Stanfield. Well, I should say new to the front, new to the full time. Aaron Stanfield's been out there for a decade too, racing these cars. But Dallas Glenn, basically, you know, the second coming of Jason Line is Greg Anderson's teammate, you know, being the thorn in his side and trying to come up for a championship. It's interesting to me that you have 2 of the top 3 in points, KB team cars, but only 3 of the top 10 are KB team cars when you add in Eric Latino. And everything else is all elite, and you got Mason McGahey down there at 10. So
the lonely guy.
The field is stacked, and my pre-6 race championship prediction, oh man, it's really hard, really hard to come up with this. Crunched a lot of numbers, looked at a lot of statistics, but I can't bet against Erica Enders at this point. She comes in the clutch, literally at the end when it counts.
Yeah, and that's what matters at the end of the day, is being clutch, and she has been that quite consecutively to rack up those championships. It's going to be a real fun pro stock race, you know, for the 6 races here. Great names, great cars, excellent drivers. It's a class that you do not get up and go and get concessions. You wait and you watch.
For sure.
It's going to be something. We're going to get into Top Fuel and Funny Car, but we're going to take a break. And after the break, we'll go right into Funny Car. Talking Funny Car with Buddy Hull, they will be talking to Paul Lee. I believe it's the 18th. And again, it's a great show. It's on the NHRA's fast channels. That would be on Tubi, Sling, your Samsung TVs, your Roku TVs, that free NHRA channel. It is there. It premieres and comes on at 8 p.m. on Wednesdays. So check them out. The last one was Daniel Wilkerson. I have yet to get to that as football season has started and the tape watching has begun. So a lot of film being watched here, and I got to squeeze it in somewhere when I get a break. But a great show, and you guys should be checking that out. Dave, Funny Car has gotten to be just like Pro Stock. Very close.
Yeah.
Very close. What's wild, though, and what you don't see in Funny Car is two cars that are identical. That does not happen in Funny Car. That doesn't happen in fuel classes, period. But guess what? JFR said, really? Watch this. We've got the Peak Chevrolet and the Cornwell Tools Chevrolet basically running identical. It's all left on the foot of the driver at this point. Does the field have a shot with it? How good these cars are running?
I really hate to say that they would take it away from Austin Prock at this particular point. No, I don't think they have a shot. No, I think that this is Austin Prock's championship to lose. I think that they've always had it in qualifying. The consistency, the Mission Foods challenges has afforded him almost a 2-round lead over Bob Tasca and the rest of the field going in to start the countdown, which, I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, to have that extra cushion when you need it. But when we're talking about making it where you can, that car is consistently quick and low of every session. And they're kind of like Brittany Force was at Top Fuel. They're adding to their rounds basically on Friday and Saturday. And you put together number one qualifiers. I believe it's 10 out of 14 this year that they've been number one qualifier. I mean, that's huge. I mean, you're putting at least 1 point per position on second place, whoever it may be. And you're going to be at least low for one session. So that's another 3 points. So, I mean, you are adding that times every race going through, and you continue that through the countdown, and you've already got a 2-round lead. It's going to be really hard to beat that car. You're going to have to catch them out early. But I really feel like Austin Prock rides this 6 races. And, you know, they were always good and consistent in qualifying, winning the Mission Food Challenges.
Yep.
Not so much on Sunday. They won early. You know, he picked up the win in Phoenix, but they kind of didn't really start racking up the wins until recently. But now they're on a roll. He won Indy. He's got his swagger back. We're going into the 6-race countdown for the championship. I feel sorry for the rest of the field that has to compete against them.
Yeah. Before I say anything, I want to address this comment on Twitch, ladies and gentlemen. We actually have our first comment from Twitch. Diggs, what's up, man? I hope you're learning something here with our drag racing talk. And go over and sign up for Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. Your invite code is in the ticker in the bottom. Come join us. It's a lot of fun. and we talk a little trash too. Yeah, it's hard to bet against Austin Prock. I like this kid, man. The moxie, his attention to detail. And I mean, Brian Loans made it clear this, like, in 30 years probably is the first time that we've actually had a driver that was driving it and working on his blower at the same time. Mm-hmm. When he flubbed up in that race and lost it because he wasn't good on the tree, his reaction is what I want to see. What I want to see from most people when they don't do well. He owned it. He took it on himself, and he made sure that it wasn't going to happen again, and it hasn't. This car is just bad to the bone, and I would love to see the story of Jack Beckman getting one for the legend himself, John Force. But even Jack will admit he's got a daunting task to be able to knock off that rust, especially now it's countdown time. Knock off that rust, be a little bit better on his reaction times to put himself there. Because I'm going to tell you right now, all he has to do is be in the ballpark. The car's going to win a lot of races for him early in this countdown. Get in the ballpark and then become lethal. Work towards that in these 3 races is going to be very important. I was looking at Matt Hagan and where he sits in the points. Matt in the points here is sitting
third, 46 behind.
Third spot. And isn't it for most people who probably really wasn't paying attention to the points, it's a little surprising considering the year that he has had. It is very quiet. And I'll add to this. He's 25-12 round win-loss record on the year. If you were just going by what you've seen throughout the year, you wouldn't think it. He's quietly kind of been in this top 5. I mean, he's on a roll here coming into Indy where he went out first round, went to a semi in Sonoma, went to the final in Brainerd, has kind of lingered around the semis and the finals, hadn't had too many first round losses, only 3 on the year. If anybody can make a kind of throw a haymaker a little bit and make this interesting, it's those boys. And I'll throw in after this my next guy who I think is quiet and will quietly make be a problem as well.
Well, I feel like Hagan is definitely – he is one of the other guys, when you look back at the statistics of the countdown, who his couple of championships, he never really won it from first. He came back from second to first. But his other championships back in 2014, he came all the way from 7th to first. In 2011, he was tied for 5th to first. So, I mean, they can get hot at the right time. I feel like that whole team could potentially be getting hot at the right time with Tony Stewart on the top fuel side. The momentum can get on their side, and they could definitely put a run together. And it's hard to say that he's not a championship contender in all this. It's just really hard to bet against Austin Prock right now. But if you're looking at statistically speaking, of the 16 prior years in the countdown, Funny Car, as a class, the only category that has the least amount of drivers who came in as first and won the regular season and stayed as first as the champion. And there were only 4 drivers to do that out of 16 to come in first and win the championship. I mean, Prock is probably going to be 5 out of those. He's going to make it number 5 this year. But anybody really in between there, Bob Tasca, Matt Hagan, J.R. Todd, and Ron Capps, in between the JFR sandwich, basically, 2nd through 5th, can step up. I think that the next dark horse, and this might be where you're going too, is not going to be the dark horse Mustang. J.R. Todd in 2018 came from 5th to 1st to win his championship in funny car. And I think that DHL Toyota can get right at just the right time too.
Yeah, that's a good one. My guy was the guy who won Indy. And the reason why I say this is because Ron is 17-14 on the year. Yet he's where he has been because this cat he didn't win Indy. He was
runner-up.
My bad. He was runner-up at Indy.
Last year he won Indy.
He's got 3 runner-ups this year in the 14 races. And it just things seem to just after he rolls out these Prud'homme cars and the thing performs well, they seem to go on a run quietly. But I do think with what you said with J.R. Todd, they have been through hell and back with what they've had to deal with this season. I think they're real seasoned up to have a really good year. He's been in a lot of semis here in the last 5 to 6 races. He was a runner-up in Bristol, Seattle semis, Brainerd semis, lost to Ron Capps in the first round. Tough one there, but I do agree with you. He kind of had he provides a level of toughness, and the team is basically a product of his attitude as well.
Well, and then you had back in 2015, Del Worsham came from 4th to 1st to win the championship. Now that was obviously the year of the laid back headers and the national record getting swapped back and forth, and it was an epic battle, all in its own right. But that team and these guys have the ability to battle back, and I think that with the momentum that they've got on the top fuel side of things, kind of carrying over to the funny car side of things this year, I wouldn't really count JR out just yet. I mean, I think anybody really in that top 5 or 6 has a shot, but man, again, these first 3 races, you got to show something. You got to get out there, get those qualifying points, and you got to go rounds. Because if we get through St. Louis and you're in the same position in points, just further back, you're not going to make it up.
Yeah. Blake Alexander, 16-11 round win-loss record. In a semi in Indy, he won Brainerd. They only have just 4 first-round exits on the year. Car's looking good. Jim Head is quietly bludgeoning people. You think they could be a thorn on someone's side?
100%. They are running numbers now. They are a high 80, low 90 car, and aside from the unfortunate bomb in Sonoma, and that was kind of a throwaway race for them. But that car is running the number. It outran Jack Beckman in the Pete car at Brainerd. Went down 388 first round at Indy. I mean, the car is out there running the number. They're not somebody that you would consider as a championship contender, but coming in at 7th, I mean, they could be a solid top 5 contending car. I don't know that they're going to contend with the likes of Austin Prock, Bob Tasca, J.R. Todd, Matt Hagan, but for the championship. But I think that, hey, what a great storyline it would be if they did, if they went into Pomona with a shot. But I think that they can very easily go into next year with a number 5 on that car.
Yeah, I kind of hope so. It's a good story, and I love a good story. We are going long today, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to make some of you happy. You know how I am. I like to be 1 hour, but we're going long today.
We got one class to go.
Yeah, we're going long today, so enjoy. Top Fuel. This class here has been very interesting all year. You got Dougie just kind of quietly being at the top. He's got that D&Q, though, at Indy. He felt pretty confident talking on the presser there. Is this his championship to lose? I mean, the car's been pretty consistent. I think the thorn in his side is his teammate Sean Langdon, and yeah, I'll start there. I'll
finish it for you. I'll finish your thought. Yes. 16 years of the countdown to the championship. The top fuel category, 10 of those 16 years, the regular season champ has been your world champ. So I don't see it changing this year. Doug Collette is going in there. He tied the record last year by coming from 6th to 1st. He tied Brittany Force, who also came from 6th to 1st in 2017. So he's going to go from tying the record from the furthest back to win it to adding to the record of being another regular season champion and countdown champion, because I think the team's got the momentum. One bad race, you know what? They got their mulligan out of the way before the countdown. They got that one out of the way at Indy. Now we're going to go out there. We're going to hit it. We're going to go out there and get the qualifying points because, you know, Justin Ashley's second. He's only 15 points behind him. You know what? Doug Colletta's team has absolutely murdered that team in qualifying bonus points alone, position points and session points. That 15 is going to grow exponentially before race day. I wouldn't be surprised Justin Ashley starts a full round behind going into Reading. And the car they're too hit or miss, where Doug, like you said, Sean is going to be the biggest thorn in his side, I feel like. But, man, Doug Collette, I would be surprised if he did not go back-to-back.
Yeah, and Caleb, I love your quarterback. Yes, definitely like Anthony Richardson, and I can't wait to watch the tape back on him. That kid, I'm tired of the negative talk about his injury. The dude got injured one stinking time, and you guys are acting like he got injured 50 times. He's played 1 year. This is his second year. Give the kid a break. He is a big-bodied Benz, and I'm not concerned about that kid. He's a big-bodied Benz with a cannon, and I like it. Yeah, I knew you'd be doing your happy dance, Lonnie. I knew you would be. Look, my dark horse and out of the blue guy is my man Justin Ashley. Last 2 years he's had phenomenal regular seasons, comes into the playoffs and they can't tune their way out of a wet paper bag. This year is a little bit different. Really didn't have the exceptional year. I mean, it's nothing over the top with this. 22-11. They had they got a couple wins. They got 3 wins. Nothing over the top. Is this the year that he gives himself and Mike Green gives Justin Ashley an opportunity to be talked about in Pomona?
Oh, he's going to be talked about. I think you're probably going to have 5 or 6 guys going into Pomona just like the last couple seasons. I think Top Fuel is going to be the most wide open category this year, even more so than Pro Stock. I think you're going to have the most amount of drivers going into Pomona, even with just an outside shot at the championship. And Pomona is going to be amazing with 1.5 points and qualifying position points. But again, when it all comes down to it, I'm sure it could be another winner-take-all final, but those guys have got to hit it hard in qualifying. They've got to make up the little points here and there, because I think even if it isn't a winner-take-all final, I think the championship this year is going to be decided by less than a round, and whoever puts together those couple extra hundreds in qualifying to get the points over the guys that don't is going to make all the difference in the world.
You talk about a couple extra points.
That's it.
And this is a great question by Memphis Lonnie. Does Clay indeed have enough momentum to be champ, or does the clock strike midnight now?
You know what? I think he's going to be one of the guys going into Pomona with a chance. Does he seal the deal? I don't know about that. That would be a long shot, but you got Jimmo on the team, and you got him ready to swing for the fences. That could help him. That could hurt him, but they ain't afraid to take the chances. And you know what? Just give them the chance. That's it. And I think that they're going to be one of the 6 or 7 going into Pomona who is going to have a chance. Yeah, I think they can hang in there enough through the next 5 races to have a shot.
I do too, because I believe in Jimmo. And I'm going to take the credit. This show is going to take the credit for giving Jimmo his mojo back. Came on the show. They made a mistake early in the season. He said we had to get it right. They were going to get it right. He was confident on it. And ever since then, they've been doing just that. He's found himself again. They've run and put up some numbers. I really like what the potential is here. And I like the fact that Jimmo, along with his buddy there, are tuning this thing, because he's not afraid. He's not afraid to throw it.
No,
he's not afraid to really get after it. And I think they do have a good opportunity to do so. Brittany Force is another one that I'm interested in. They did what they had to do at the end to get it done and get into the countdown and put themselves in 9th place, by the way. Hasn't been the best of years for them. They went down the rabbit hole and kind of found themselves a little bit, but we still don't have the same David Grubnick that we had before. They're one win under 500. They've looked decent. 2 semifinals, round finals in the last 4, but also 2 first-round exits as well. So they've been up and down. Lightning in a bottle for this team.
Yeah, I really think that I saw, you see on social media, just had her bachelorette party. Life's going on for Brittany herself. That could be either motivation or that could be a distraction, and that's going to be hard to see. It's going to be interesting to see which of the two it ends up being, because is her mind and her heart still in it? Or is she just already like, all right, you know what? I'm ready to start the next chapter of my life. Let's just get this season finished. We're at the bottom half of the top 10. We had a DNQ. We had a really off year. We're not performing to the level that we used to. But you know what? I'm just hoping that they do find the tune-up back. They come out there, and if they get those session points, again, if Grubnick can come out there, put the mid 360, 335 mile an hour plus tune-up back in that JFR dragster, they can make up a lot of ground just in those little points, but they still got to do it on race day. And that's going to be the hardest part, is being consistent and being a semifinal or more round player is what it's going to take, in my opinion. If your goal isn't to win, you're not going to win all the races. You're not going to pull a Steve Torch like countdown of 2018 and sweep it. But your goal needs to be semifinals or more. And it's going to be interesting to see if they can carry that into race day, or they're going to be an up in smoke, first round bomb loser,
Yeah. And he's got his own money, man. The last time I checked, I think he's a veteran. He's a military vet. So he's pulling his weight. He's got his own money. Drag Race Mayhem. What's Brittany Force's average reaction time? I know you got it. That's my concern with her. I talked about it. I talked about it a couple races ago when they didn't execute well. I think it was Brainerd, and she talked about the team. And on top of that, sure, didn't really have the numbers as your counterpart. But if your light was good, you might have given yourself a chance to get a whole shot. You're the quarterback sometimes. And in pressure, big time moments, when things have to get done, you have to take the onus on yourself, in my opinion. And I like when quarterbacks do that. I think that is important. It shows that you give a crap, and that that I know you have the confidence knowing that, hey, my guys are going to do the job. I just have to make sure that I'm consistently doing mine. And Drag Race Mayhem does have it.
Not going to win you a lot of races, is it?
No.
Now, it could when you're going out there and you got 600s on the field.
Yes.
But they don't have that anymore.
No. For whatever reason, they show flashes of who they once were, but has not been consistent enough, especially on the days that it matter, and that's on Sunday. So yeah, I do think they have the ability. Not sure if it will translate though. Last but not least, Mr. Tony Stewart. Man's got championships all over the place. He's sitting 7th right now. I know what I think, and it's not on him. Does he have any kind of shot of smelling a championship this year in that car?
Yeah. I feel like he's going to go to Pomona with a chance. He's going to have a shot. He's going to win his first race in the countdown. I'm looking at either Charlotte or Las Vegas is where he's going to pick up the win. He's going to get a Wally. He's going to be a championship contender. I just don't know that team is going to have it to close the deal going into Pomona. I feel like Pomona, you're going to have a lot of guys with a lot of chances to do it, but the top guys are going to have to struggle early. You're going to have some early round upsets, or some of these guys are going to have to step up and play the ladder. I mean, imagine if you get 7 or 8 guys with a shot at Pomona, and round 2 they're all racing each other. You know what I mean? That's all you could ask for. And then it's just run it all out, you know, and made a best man win at that point. And I feel like that's what Top Fuel is coming to. And not taking anything away from the guys at the bottom half of the ladder, but I mean, you already kind of talked about their round records. I don't really see, you know, Sean Reed, Josh Hart, Billy Torrance can get in there and be a spoiler to some of these guys. Yeah. Brittany Force could be a spoiler to some of these guys. She might get around Tony Schumacher. You know, maybe they trade places, and that's your 8 guys going into Pomona. But in all honesty, the top 8, I mean, I still lean towards Doug Coletta as being the champ, but any finishing order beyond that is really a pickup to me with how these guys have had their seasons progress and how consistent they can be, how quick they can be, and when they have flashes of brilliance. I mean, it's a wide open field, more so in this category than any other one to me.
Yeah. And because they all have. You look at in 4th, Steve Torrance has shown flashes. Antron Brown has had his moments. Right. Clay. Right. You know,
Clay's got
it really is. In. Yeah. With that win and Arby's, you need to stay here for a while.
Had Arby's lunch the other day.
It's time for y'all to be the start of fast food sponsors coming into the sport of drag racing.
Come on back.
You have no other better representative that you could ever have in Clay Milligan and that team. So I suggest you go on, just sign a multi-year deal, come on over here to drag racing, the NHRA Mission Foods, get yourself some chips and some dip and chill on the couch and just enjoy the ride because it's going to be a good one. Folks are going to come out of the droves to come and eat themselves some Arby's. Why? Because their man, Clay Milligan, is representing you. That's my pitch. I think it's pretty good. But your boy has done his job. He's got a U.S. Nationals win with Arby's. We got the meats on the side of the car. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Gonna be a good weekend, man. It's crazy how quickly this year has gone.
It is.
So NHRA needs a mainstream sponsor like the 2000s, more stuff average Joes can actually relate to. And I agree with that. That's been my biggest ploy right there. I thought that, and I think that's going to come eventually. Tony Stewart being here is a big part, I think, of that. And this would be a huge start to opening the floodgates. Maybe we get McDonald's back in this thing when they start seeing their sales getting beat by Arby's. I mean, the sky's the limit, really. We got White Castle in here. They're not the primary, but they're a big part.
But
and,
man, they should be, man. When I went to Indy, I had White Castle back to back. Saturday night, Sunday night, I stopped there. They got the value meal. Man, it was so good. I hadn't had White Castle in a long time, and I missed it.
And Troy is a good spokesperson for White Castle. He is he's selling me on White Castle, and I'm kind of on the fence about it. But he's even saying the frozen stuff from White Castle is good.
Oh yeah, you
in
get
the frozen section,
right? You just go to the grocery store and make it yourself.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. He's a great spokesperson for them. But I tell you what, I would be elated to see other fast foods coming into this thing, and other like Drag Race Mayhem said, other average Joe type things coming into the sport of drag racing that folks can relate to. It gives some people something to cling on. I think that's what made the Winston days so great too, because the sponsorships we all could relate to. They were things that the average Joe could go to that store and buy.
For sure. I agree.
Well, Dave, tell everybody where they can find you at, and tell them about the great website that you're continuing to add beautiful stats, helping folks out to learn and get their questions answered on your Drag Race Reference site.
DragRaceReference.com is where you can go right now. The main start of it, to just kind of get the ball rolling, was to get all the season champions out there, all the race results, basically from all the categories, from top fuel all the way down to top alcohol funny car, all the heads up classes. The goal is to eventually expand to round by round results for every elimination race. That way, if you're curious, you want to do research, qualifying, and round by round results, and then eventually, if I can figure out how to possibly do it, driver specific pages, so you can go to any particular driver and see all their stats of their entire career, from current to guys like Rob Bruins, Richard Tharp, Shirley Muldowney. How did her stats match up to the current guys? Lee Shepard, Bob Glidden, guys that are no longer out there racing. You could find current win lists on all the categories. If you're looking for that, trying to see who ranks where. I will eventually expand it to, once I get them all complete, number one qualifier list, low ET and top speed of the event list. But the info's out there. You want to do the research. Again, it's a reference guide. It's just something that if you know something, if you got old national drag shoes, you got something you can contribute, there is a link on the bottom to where you can submit. Send me an email with any information that I can add to it. Certainly help and appreciate it. But it is forever expanding, and I definitely have way more plans and ideas than I can probably really express. But really, if it all comes to fruition, I mean, I've got divisional event results, I've got divisional champs, I've got results going way back to the 60s for every category, and maybe expand to the sportsman classes as well. So it really is a place to go to if you're trying to find all your NHRA statistics. It's definitely a good place. Point standings, year-to-year point standings. You want to know who finished where. We're putting those up there. And then eventually expand to IHRA and AHRA too, so you can see how guys' careers, shaped up, maybe more so on one side than the other. We're talking about Clay Milliken in a championship battle. This would not be his first, but he would be one of many to win it on the IHRA and NHRA side if he can pull it off this year. So
yeah,
a lot of information out there to share, and hope y'all can check it out. And if you're really curious about the past and history, it's a place to be.
Dave, thanks for your time. I appreciate it. It's always a blast talking, and we're going to talk again. We're probably going to do this in 3 races, like you said. We'll revisit some things. We'll see how things are going, and talk even more about the sport that we love, drag racing. Appreciate you, bro.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you having me on, and all the viewers tuning in, listen to us, and sharing your opinions and insights as well.
Dave W., everybody. And I tell you what, man, it's a great show. And again, like he said, I appreciate you guys contributing. It's huge. Your thoughts do matter here. And, it presents other monkey wrenches and things that we think about and look at. And it gives the fans who are watching your viewpoint. Fans matter. And that's why I love fan-driven shows as well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another edition of the NotBland Show. Expect a lot of football and drag racing as it's going to get hot and heavy here. We're going to be coming at you a lot here in the next couple of months, and I'm excited about it. So just stay locked in. Comment, especially with the football stuff, man. If we don't talk about your team, you know how to reach me at NotBland21. I love talking shop, and I'll definitely talk about your team for sure, because I just love football as a whole. Well, until next time, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this show. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Make sure you go ahead and sign up for Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. The code is in the ticker. And, man, we're going to keep chopping wood, keep doing this thing. I appreciate you guys. I really do. I really do. For Sports Journey, for Everything Nitro, and for our sponsor, Drag Race Bracket Bonanza, this has been one heck of a show. This has been the NotBland Show. I'm your host, Dave Bland. We're out of here.